Good evening, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to News in Focus. My name is Faraz Patel. We'd like to thank you, the viewer, for staying with us on Hilaal TV, DSTV channel 347. Now, ECOWAS has deployed troops to Benin following a failed coup at the weekend, the latest to hit the region after Guinea-Bissau's president was overthrown last month. Do remember that West Africa, this is not the first time it has happened. Over the last 2 to 3 years, we have seen coups occurring in that part of the continent. Now, reports from Benin have it that the attempted coup was led by a group of soldiers wanting to destabilize the state. The attempt was foiled with soldiers deployed by President Patrice Talon, reported as saying that the situation is totally under control. Joining me now to take this discussion forward, I'd like to welcome Josaphat Finogbe, who is a journalist and a fact checker based in Cotonou in Benin. Josaphat, absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure also for us to join your channel this morning.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Josaphat, let's go to the sort of origins of all of this, because I was following the events during the weekend, and I must confess, given what we have seen within West Africa, I thought the coup d'etat was actually going to be a success. However, we got to where we are, where this was foiled by the government and other actors in this.
I think that we have to thank the loyal soldiers and the Royal Army also, who deployed immediately to foil this coup. It was a pleasure not only for the government but also the population, the Beninese population, about it. I think that yes, as you mentioned, is to refer to what happened in West Africa, especially in Sahel region, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, and recently in Guinea-Bissau. We thought that, okay, with this one, they will succeed. But fortunately for the nation, for the Beninese nation, it was unsuccessful. And this was because the Royal Army was very prompt and reacted very quickly to stop it.
Josaphat, right, let's look at who these group of soldiers were, because they had went into what seems to be the state broadcaster on Sunday morning, and it was led by a lieutenant colonel by the name of Pascal Tigri. Talk to us about how this was happening, because as we see in the pictures there, we've got, of course, Pascal Tigri, who was at the time being appointed the president of the military committee.
I don't have enough detail specifically because you still know that it is under justice. We cannot mention all detail about this coup. But what we have officially is that this group of soldiers started with the hostage, but they go to take in hostage some officials of army, and then seized the national state's television, and they delivered the message by pointing the Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri, new president of the Republic. But at that time, if you want to know what Benin is, what happened at that time, we have a gunfire in the city. Even in the residence of the president of the Republic, Patrice Talon, and also gunfire in some cities, main city of Cotonou.
Yeah.
And finally, it was a panic because everybody was panicking. Because there are many years Benin didn't experience this one, and because in 1990, we finished with this, and Benin never had another coup. But for what happened on Sunday, 7 December, it was very regrettable. And we don't have, we have official statement with this group of soldiers, because there are some reasons there for them. There are some origin taken into account. For example, the security situation in the northern Benin, and also the president is not totally involved in taking into account the soldiers' family falling on the ground. There are other reasons they evoke, but I think that, as many mentioned, is very relatable. And even if there are this reason, nothing can justify a coup.
Yeah, no,
in a democratic context.
No, I completely agree with you there, and I think it's a sort of dark spot on democracies, not just in Benin, but across what we're seeing now within Africa who has democracies. Josaphat, the arrest, 14 people have been arrested. As we speak right now, we still don't know the fate of Tigri, whether he will be apprehended. My question to you is, this happening from an army, can we say that there are rogue elements within the military? Because it seems as if Tigri is a very senior figure within the Benin army. Talk to us about that. Are we at a stage where there are potential rogue elements happening within the military which could have seen the events unfolding over this weekend?
Yes, it is a tension between soldiers, and Tigri is. We cannot say that Tigri was alone, because contrary to what we had in social media, is not only a small group, but is a group who wanted to overthrow the president. And it means that among soldiers, among the army, there are some tension. There are some soldiers who are not agree with the way Patrice Talon governs, or the way he treats security situation in the country. And you know that the plotters came mainly from the National Guard and operate from Kantogmen. Is a city in the north of Cotonou. It means that he is a senior officer in the army, but I think that for now, President Patrice Talon can do everything to avoid this, because there's tension. Is how we act, we react. It's how the government works in the country to ensure security, and also to promote, because one of the reason is the promotion of soldiers among army. Let me think deeply, because they mentioned that president is promoting. There is a favoritism about the promotion of soldiers in the army. It means that they don't get what they have to get really. But Tigri, for now, as you also mentioned, is not arrested, not officially, because we don't have official statement about it. But 14 soldiers so far have been arrested, waiting for an official statement about Tigri and other people involved in this coup plot.
Josaphat, President Talon, elected president in 2016 and then re-elected with a majority win, with an 86% win 5 years later. In terms of his popularity within Benin, where does he stand with regards to that? I had to ask you that question, because obviously when we talk of West Africa, we really speak of either a leadership void or a leadership crisis that occurs there.
I do totally agree with you.
Yeah.
The popularity of Patrice Talon, you know, we are 14 million people in Benin, and and there are some political opponents, and also among the population, there are those who are not agree with some administrative reform, some social reforms of the government of Patrice Talon. But what we can say, if you consider the political parties in the country as the main supporting the regime of Patrice Talon, we can say that yes, there are those people supporting the regime, and you also know that Patrice Talon is going because we have had another presidential election with other actors, and Patrice Talon is not among them because he constitutionally finished his reign next year in 2026. But in terms of popularity, yes, he still continue getting his popularity. Those who support him, those who don't approve what he does. But finally, because I don't have exactly a poll, a statistic, or a data about it, I cannot mention. But what we know, there are at one part supporting the regime as usual, and some opponents who are not agree with what he does, especially with some reforms, administrative, social, because they consider that he didn't do enough for social security, for economic security. Also, those people about the social, what we call freedom of expression, to let the opposition party to go to the presidential election in April 2026. There are this frustration amongst the population, but I think that he still gets his popularity, not enough as what we got in 2021.
Josaphat, I have to stop you there because we have to go to a break, but we are going to continue this conversation as we'll be discussing the regional and continental reactions to what we saw over the weekend. Do stay tuned. News in Focus returns after this break. Welcome back to News in Focus. I'm still in conversation with Josaphat Finogbe. He is a journalist and fact checker based in Cotonou in Benin. Again, thank you so much for staying with us, Josaphat. I want to go to the regional and continental reactions. Of course, ECOWAS condemning what we saw. AU Commission Chairperson Mahmoud Ali Yusuf saying they strongly and unequivocally condemn the military coup attempt in Benin. Josaphat, I've often argued that the African Union really hasn't shown its strength, its authority to stamp out attempted coups or successful coups that have happened, not just in West Africa, but across the continent. What is the view within Benin when it comes to the way the African Union has reacted to this, but also whether they have the strength to really counter rogue elements that are happening within countries like Benin?
For us, I think that African Union tries to do what it can do. In this case, there is this kind of politics of African Union, and what happened in Benin is a little bit different because different not only with the African Union who that condemns this coup, but also with ECOWAS especially because there is a prompt reaction from ECOWAS to avoid this coup. It means that the draw lessons from the past, what happened in the past with other countries in Sahel region or elsewhere in Africa, they don't want to do the same mistake. There was a prompt reaction, this one for in Benin case, and this is very special and this very thankful because at the end the coup was unsuccessful due to this reaction, and the politics of the African Union must be reviewed. I think because instead of coming has fire soldier to stop the fire. I think that they can do their best to prevent this coup, to prevent what this kind of situation that can happen in our country in Africa. And by this, they must promote more, the good governance, and also to respect the democratic principle in this country, and also talk with the presidents, with presidents all over the country to more deeply respect the decision of the population, of the citizen, because there are some cases. We have a president of the nation, and there are some reforms that cannot be taken into account the aspiration of the nation, of the population, and this creates some frustration. And at the end, the army can say, "Okay, let's finish with this, and now we can take the control and we can overthrow the president." I think that African Union must do more by preventing with a good governance in our countries, instead of coming as a fire soldier to condemn or to publish a statement to and others. And for this reason, I want to thank especially ECOWAS and Nigerian President Mr. Tinubu about the prompt reaction, sending troops from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, and also from Cote d'Ivoire to support Benin.
Josaphat, that's where I want to come in, because ECOWAS troops have been deployed. They've taken it a step further, not just by a statement. They've said, well, we're going to deploy troops to Benin to what they say support the government and the Republican Army of Benin to preserve constitutional order and territorial integrity of the Republic of Benin. Is this the right move from ECOWAS, given what we have seen in West Africa over the last few years in terms of successful coup d'etats that have happened there?
It's what I said is because ECOWAS want to avoid the same mistake as what happened in the past in this region. We are talking about the standby army of ECOWAS. This standby army, which exists only on paper, but finally, with this attempt coup in Benin, we get the real standby army of ECOWAS who react promptly. But before this reaction, before they send soldiers from this country, there are also the reaction of Nigeria, who were a very big supporter to avoid this coup. ECOWAS didn't want to make the same mistake, because it's very different. You know, we are in 2025. Even if we say in Guinea-Bissau 3 weeks ago there were a coup, but in that same context here, we are in a democratic process. We are going to elect a new president in April 2025. We are also just near Nigeria, and also we know what happened with these Sahel countries about a coup. And finally, I said ECOWAS didn't want to let military or these militaries get into power in this contest, because they are saying, okay, ECOWAS has a bad reputation in brackets, because they say they don't react promptly. They are just there to produce statements, to send a message to a new president, to demand them to come back to the constitutional reform, and so on and so forth. But finally, they say, stop, enough is enough. We want now to react, and they react very promptly. This was very, very big thing, and thanks to this, ECOWAS, Benin is now out of this attempt coup.
One final question, Josaphat. The coup d'etat has been thwarted. it seems as business to usual. You and I were talking offline and you said things seem to be back to normal over the last few days. But what we saw over the weekend, and this is not just for Benin, for the rest of West Africa, how concerning is what we saw over the weekend and what needs to be done, not just from an ECOWAS perspective, not just from an African Union, but also maybe important players in the continent like South Africa and its President Cyril Ramaphosa, in really making sure that we do not see any coup d'etats happening in the country, which really causes unnecessary instability within the continent as a whole.
Yes, we need this stability in the country. Even if you are in west region or east or in the north region of Africa, we need stability in the continent. And it's about what I said. We need a good governance of our presidents of different governments all over the continent. We need to also listen to the army, because sometimes there are some frustrations, sometimes there are some crises among soldiers, among the army, and they don't want they just want to be heard. Okay, you listen, you hear what they say, you try to suggest a good solution to solve it. But if you do nothing, you just say, okay, there are frustration, and now they are just army, they are a big silence, they cannot talk. Finally, if there are frustration plus frustration, finally there is a coup, is what we have, for example, in Benin. And to avoid it, African Union must play a key role by instructing the president about good governance, to avoid corruption, to listen, especially their citizens, about their reform. It's good to make some reforms, administrative, social, economic, and politics. But it's also good to know the aspiration of the population about all this reform. And if they do this, I think that we can have stability in our countries in Africa, and this will help us to be more concentrated on the development, the real development of our nation and of our continent.
Josaphat, absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Much appreciated.
Thank you too for inviting me.
No, absolute pleasure. That's Josaphat Finogbe. He is a journalist and a fact checker based in Cotonou in Benin. Now, after the break, you've heard the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. Now, I'm referring to South Africans who, of course, go to other countries seeking employment opportunities or going to move there. Well, what we saw earlier this year was, of course, through Donald Trump's executive order, many Afrikaner South Africans going to the USA on this false claim of white genocide. Now, according to a recruitment group, DNA Employer of Record, 70% increase of South Africans are wanting to come home. How is that possible? We're going to be speaking to the CEO of that very same organization, Anton van Heerden, after the break. Do stay tuned.